Centaur, your kind of company.
Tonight on Ctv3 News, 35-year-old female from the Corozal district goes missing. The opening of the new academic year spells challenges for officers of the Municipal Transport Department. Erwin Contreras admits he signed definitive agreement, and the leader of the opposition in the hot seat after a recording of heated exchange during a National Party Council meeting is leaked. These are some of the stories we have for you tonight in our newscast for Tuesday, September 5th, 2023.
Me encuentro recluida porque fui acusada de inhumación, exhumación de cadáveres, profanación de cadáveres y homicidio de 13 personas.
Ellos decían que era santería, nosotros decíamos que era satanería.
Yo nunca me imaginé que a mí me iban a aventar todo lo de Adolfo.
Quien jefaturaba y quien ordenaba y quien tenía el poder y el peso de decisión pues era Sara.
Clínica Nueva Esperanza started 9 years ago with the hope that we would be able to give our services to the area where we are located. We have been giving up to now what is angiology and vascular surgery, and also general medicine. The NHI came about earlier on this year, and we saw the possibility of taking it on and giving this much needed service to our community. I am a family medicine specialist. Before I was a vascular surgeon, and it has always been my desire of giving this service to the people of Orange Walk. People have accepted the NHI. You know, as you knock on their doors, they are happy to receive us, to register. And once they know what exactly is going on, you know, they will call in, not for just themselves, but for their relatives as well, and their neighbors. Now, there are a lot of people as well that I think before they didn't see the need of having a social security card, but now, because of the NHI, they all want to get registered with the social security so that they can access also the services. A lot of the patients that were coming to this clinic were very happy to actually, you know, now you can come, you can register, and you will have the services free of cost. So why not?
The ongoing Philip Golsund Highway and Ramata Bypass upgrading project will provide the highway with a major facelift. 125 kilometers, or almost 78 miles, of existing paved road is being upgraded and enhanced to ensure that it is climate resilient, with new shoulders, drainage, and road safety features such as line markings, road studs, traffic signs, and bus laybys in all of the villages along the entire highway. Upon completion, the infrastructural improvements will provide a quicker, safer, and more comfortable journey from Mile 24 to the Belize-Mexico border. However, with all this ongoing progress come the problems of the temporary traffic bottlenecks and impatient drivers whose actions endanger the lives of roadwork crews trying to complete the project.
There's a lot of motorists that, are in a hurry to get where they're going, and if they have to be there for 8 o'clock, they leave the house at 7:45, so they're in a hurry. So when we're out there having an obstruction on the road, they're trying to get past it as quickly as possible, so it has been a challenge just to slow them down with that.
Most of the motorists, when they drive, they don't look like they don't respect the signs. We got signs in place, and if they respect it, I think it won't take them just a few minutes to pass through. We had near misses. The guys, they have to run off the road because of things like that. The next thing is that these guys drive out here, some of them don't have brakes, none at all, right? And when you come onto the walk area now, what you find out is that they can't stop, and they have to either take off the road, or my guys, the traffic warden, have to run away from them, right, to not get hit.
There are signs in and around the different construction zones to warn motorists well ahead of time that they need to slow down. They are there to create a safer working environment for these road crews. But unfortunately, some members of the driving public ignore them completely, presenting a clear and present danger not only for those working on the road, but to themselves.
We have our construction signs that have like a man working with a shovel, which means that there's construction work ahead, which could mean either road works or digging or paving or whatever. And then we have our slowing down signs, which means please slow down for the areas that we're working at because there could be an obstruction in the road. The loose gravel is saying that we have freshly paved and there's loose gravel on the road, right? And we also put down the miles per hour signs, how fast you're supposed to go through these construction zones. Now, the reason why we have a 20 mile an hour or a 15 mile an hour is because of the loose gravel. Drive any faster than that, you can lose control of your vehicle. Also, you could be flinging chippings into other vehicles, windshields and stuff like that, causing damage.
We did plead to the motorists, please slow down, boss. Please slow down. Wait until we pass through the construction zones, and then you could do whatever you want after that. But we are begging them to try slow down, to protect our workers, protect themselves too. Because like what I said, like what I mentioned before, on the loose gravel, it's dangerous, and we see nothing happen right in front of us, right, on this loose gravel. So please, I'm begging, please slow the traffic down.
Unfortunately, that is not the only problem faced by those working on the project. The road crews have even had to contend with theft of their signs and solar lighting, which are placed strategically to provide for the safety of the public.
If we leave cones and signs out overnight to warn traffic, in the morning, most of them are gone. They have been either stolen or just picked up and thrown somewhere that we're not sure where they are.
Sometimes we leave the signs out at night because certain areas we have to leave signs out. When you leave the signs out, next day you come back, no sign at all. So they just take it. For what reason, I don't know, and then you put the public again at jeopardy.
The Ministry of Infrastructure Development and Housing reminds drivers, pedestrians, and residents of all communities in the project area that the Philip Golson Highway and Ramate Bypass Upgrading Project is designed for the benefit of all Belizeans. Irresponsible and careless driving, theft, and vandalism do a disservice to all of us. Let us work together to promote the safety of our people and the development of our communities.
Good evening with your news. Also simulcast on Fiesta FM 106.7. I am Joanna Rodriguez. Yesterday marked the first day of the new academic year for pre and primary school students for 2023 to 2024, and with that came some challenges. While parents here were busy taking pictures of their children and saying their goodbyes, officers of the Municipal Transport Authority had the task of ensuring the flow of traffic. This morning, we were accompanied by Senior Transport Officer Edwin Hill on the Ctv3 Morning Show, and he spoke to us about some of the challenges they faced at the various school areas. In the area of San Francisco School, speeding was an issue, even though there is a painting ramp and 2 officers were in place.
So we have to have in mind that vehicles can fail at any moment. You can have a 2018 vehicle, and it doesn't mean that the brakes won't miss, or any mechanical issues can happen, maybe a blowout or something like that. So let's be considerate, let's respect the speed limits for the school zones, 15 miles per hour on a school zone. So it's very important for us to be more alert, more attentive when it comes to driving during these drop-off and pick-up time at those school zones, specifically San Francisco School, where there's a ramp, there's a painted ramp, not a built ramp. So drivers may tend to want to speed. Kids will be kids, Miss Carme. Parents can only do much when going to school. Some of these kids go on bicycles, some of these kids go walking. Not everyone is privileged to go on a vehicle. So for those of you guys who take your kids on a vehicle, let's be considerate to the other kids that are less fortunate and have to walk to school.
On Main Street, where La Inmaculada School finds itself, adhering to the traffic lights regulations posed a problem.
The officer is there to guide these kids, Ms. Kame. When the officer sees the light is red in color, the officer would stop the vehicle and would signal the students to cross, and they would cross safely. Now, these kids are trained with the light. We have some drivers that when they see the light is green, the kid automatically stops. because that green is for the vehicle to cross.
To cross, right.
Officer signals the driver to come. Now the driver wants to unload their kids, their relatives, and that is failed to conform to a traffic light. When the light is green in color, it means you must go, you must proceed, right? Now we have to have in consideration other drivers that are not going to school to drop off any kids. You are holding back traffic unnecessarily. There's ways to do it. You can park on the side, and you can ask your kid to come out of the vehicle. Would just like to share that this school year around, you will get ticketed for that offense as well. The ticket for that is a small ticket to me. It's a $50 ticket only.
Okay.
But then again, it can be taken to another level whereby we prepare a summons for you, and then your name will be at court. You will have a record in court for that habitual practice that we are doing.
For parking not to be a problem, the administration of the school is sticking to the drop-off system set in place during the COVID-19 pandemic.
You drive in on the left-hand side of the road, since it's a one-way street. For example, you can see there, you drive in on the left-hand side of the road, you drop off for the upper division.
Okay.
You drive, that's in the morning. In the morning has its own challenges as in the evening. So you drive in, you do your drop-off, then you can either go left or right towards the Riverside area, or you can go up Slaughterhouse. So you have a choice to do that.
Okay.
Now, on the right-hand side is where the lower division drop off. So when they drop off, they advise to go right. That's in front of, that's part of Muffle Street.
So you can actually drive into,
yes, you
into
drive
that area
in. It's
now,
like
because
a
before you could not do
you
that.
couldn't because we had a rope.
Right.
So this was set in place during when we returned from COVID. This was what was set in place, and it is working very well, Ms. Kame. It's a bit slow when it comes to the drop off, and I would say this on my observation, it is too much prolonged goodbyes. That is understood, but then again, we need to be considerate again, Ms. Kame, because another issue that is, your child, you're giving your child money. It happened at Muffles, and I noticed it has stopped. Let's not wait until you reach at the gate, to hand over your school bag. Sometimes the school bag is at the back. One child would open 1, 2, 3 doors sometimes. I don't know what is it that these guys are taking out. But they put the bag at the back, and when they come out, they have to open sometimes the trunk or maybe the side, man.
As for the Louisiana Government School, there were not too many hiccups in the area of Presbyterian School. However, Hill reminds drivers that Tate Street is closed during school hours.
When the school was closed, we had vehicles coming in the one-way street, but the school is reopened now. So we'd just like to reiterate on drivers that know these things, that know what is in place. Let's try and go back to what we did when the school was open, and that is closed during school hours, right? So you cannot travel from that direction. You need to go around. You need to go all the way around from the Ochobenke Road. It's a short period of time. It's just from 7:15 until 7:45. So we can work with these kids. Another thing that is an issue by the hospital area is the tacos vendors, the people that are going to buy their food. That is becoming like a mini market area. We are working on it. We have already done a huge difference when it comes to the taxes there. We are working on how we can go about dealing with these vendings. The vendors are not the problem. It's the people that go and buy, people that go and purchase their tacos in the mornings, their breakfast. They would like to park right alongside the tacos area instead of parking somewhere else and walk to that area. In the mornings, these guys narrow the path for the students, and it affects visibility for incoming vehicle when the students are crossing. So we need to be more considerate when it comes to how we go about purchasing our foods in the morning.
Drivers are reminded that they should be responsible when traversing the area of a school zone. A 35-year-old woman from the Corozal district is missing tonight, and police are asking for your assistance to locate her. She is Lillian Ortilia Borland from Corozal town. The 35-year-old was reported missing on Monday, September 4, 2023, after she left home at about 2 p.m. Allegedly, Borland suffers from mental depression. She is described as being of brown complexion, is slim built, weighs about 100 pounds, is about 5 feet and 5 inches in height, has brown eyes, and has short black hair. She was last seen wearing a pink dress and a pair of black slippers. Anyone with information on the whereabouts of Borland is asked to call 911 or 922. Word coming out of Belize's judicial system tonight is that former Minister of Economic Development, Petroleum, Investment, Trade and Commerce, Erwin Contreras, has acknowledged that he signed the controversial Port of Magical Belize definitive agreement with Portico Enterprises. 15 days after the 30-page document was leaked, Port of Belize Limited, PBL, served Contreras notice that the company would proceed with legal action against him. In return, Contreras had to take action and began building his defense via his attorney, Bill Lindo Jr. That defense has been filed, and part of it states that Contreras acted legally and properly. It says, quote, the defendant admits that in October 2020, in the course of lawfully discharging his public functions as minister with responsibility for economic development, petroleum, investment, trade, and commerce, signed the definitive agreement. The defense further states that Contreras signed the agreement because, quote, at all material times, having regard to the number of jobs and the desperate need for investment to propel the rebound of the Belizean economy in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, acted in good faith in signing the definitive agreement. All in all, Contreras is blaming the COVID-19 pandemic for signing an agreement that granted significant privileges to Portico for its Port of Magical Belize development project, including tax exemptions, tax compensation, and foreign currency guarantees. In his defense, Contreras also adds that he had actual, implied, and ostensible authority as the Minister of Investment to sign the agreement, and clearly states that the agreement was not signed in secret. In fact, he says, and we quote, the GOB was in negotiations with the then Attorney General, and the principals of which, as far as the defendant was aware, resulted in multiple drafts being exchanged. This is in contrary to what his colleagues have told the media about the agreement. For context, here is what the former AG and the former chair of the investment committee told the media back in February.
That document was signed by Erwin Contreras in October of 2020, and in my view, that is a shame, it is abhorrent, and in my opinion, it is completely illegal. It was wrong when he did it, and if the PUP want to hug up that document and claim that they're so bound by it, well then they are equally responsible for that document, because if they want to endorse it.
I know for sure that we had a memorandum of understanding for that particular project. I am not aware of any definitive agreement, which is usually the last stage of really cementing the investment opportunity in the country. You know, the government has to ensure that the investor has the right, has the capital available, that all the permissions have been granted, that sort of thing. When I left, or when we left the government administration, that project was not there yet. Certainly none was discussed with the Cabinet Subcommittee on Investment, and none was discussed with me directly.
The essence of PBL's claim is that Contreras' signing of the definitive agreement dated October 1st, 2020 was unlawful, given that he did not have the power to sign it, and that by doing so, other developers within a 25-mile radius of Port of Magical Belize could not be awarded fiscal incentives, thereby precluding approval for another port project within the same geographical zone. We know that after the PBL cruise terminal project was denied environmental clearance a first time, Waterloo Investment Holdings Limited Chairman Lord Michael Ashcroft wrote Prime Minister John Brisenia on January 10, 2022, stating that, based on assurances from the government through the years, they had invested in excess of $5 million to develop plans for the project. A sting conducted in San Pedro by the Belize Immigration Department resulted in the arrest of 5 women who are alleged to have entered the country illegally. Olga Arriaga, 35, Nayeli Esperanza Perez Zatina, 22, both Salvadorans, were arrested along with 3 Hondurans, Maria Magdalena Vaca Lara, 27, Estefany Lara, and Tanya Paredes, 21. Arriaga and Zatina were each read a single charge of failing to produce a visitor's permit on demand when it was requested by the Immigration Department on September 4th. Maria and Estefany Lara, along with Paredes, were all charged for failing to comply with the conditions of their visitors' permits. Arriaga and Zatina both pleaded guilty and were fined $1,000 each plus $5 cost of court, which they were ordered to pay forthwith or face 6 months in jail. They each paid their fines and removal orders for both women were granted. The 3 Honduran women pleaded not guilty and have been remanded to prison until September 18th. Coming up next, heated exchange between Shine Barrow and members of the National Party Council, including Tracy Tager Panton, is leaked to the media. Stay tuned.
Hi, my name is Dorette Pascasio. I'm Rashida Matar. And we are the resource teachers here at Louisiana Government School. You can find us at the resource room located in the building behind the football field.
The operation of a resource room program in any school seeks to achieve the following objectives: to provide students with specific resource support while remaining integrated with their peers in the mainstream.
To allow resource personnel to serve a wider cross-section of students in the regular school system who require special support.
To provide a system of early intervention ordered to alleviate the development of secondary conditions.
To provide learning opportunities for students with special needs in a flexible manner.
To serve as a source of expertise in supporting teachers in the mainstream.
And to minimize the stigma associated with students receiving special support in a resource room setting.
Throughout the school year, we will be committed to working hand in hand with the dynamic classroom teachers at our school in order to ensure we continue to provide quality education to our beloved students.
Last year, we carried out a reading assessment with students based on the recommendation of the classroom teacher, and we follow up with our successful reading intervention with over 140 students identified with reading difficulties.
We plan on continuing with our reading intervention program, starting up our life skills program, and carrying out several inclusive activities at the school level with our students.
Remember, here at Louisiana Government School, inclusion matters for all.
With Express Plus, you can stream on the go or stream at home. Stream the latest movies, telenovelas, series, anime, or music videos from your favorite local artists. Sign up now with Centaur's Express Plus.
Sign up for Smart Share Plan and save big. Whether you're a small entrepreneur starting up your business, a student on a limited budget, or a family trying to save, this is the plan for you. With unlimited SMS, calls, and data, we help you save. Get up to 5 lines for as low as $30 per line monthly, only with Smart. Sign up today at any Smart showroom or sales manager countrywide. So get your business going, share more memories with friends, and be ready for the day with Smart.
Two beekeepers from the Orange Walk Beekeepers Cooperative are currently attending the Apimondia 48th International Apicultural Congress in Chile. They are Ileana Ayuso and Elton Cantun. Apimondia is the international organization of beekeeping associations that brings together scientists, specialists, and beekeepers from around the world. The Congress is being held from September 4th to the 8th, 2023. The 48th Apimondia Congress will focus on sustainable beekeeping in a changing world. In addition, the Congress will include discussions on value-added products from the hive, land use, biodiversity, and beekeeping. The opposition United Democratic Party hosted a small protest in San Pedro Town on Thursday of last week. That protest happened just as the government launched the start of the 2023 Investment Summit. The protest saw a little over 100 persons in attendance, not including residents of San Pedro Town. That is because the UK-Belize Rural South Executive Committee decided to disassociate itself from the activity. A release from the committee at the time stated that the executive and the standard bearer, Jazilia Zweta, are in disagreement of the plans to protest because it is not in accordance with the island's culture. Well, that decision did not end well for Zweta, as she has been stripped from representing the UDP at the next general elections. That decision came following an emergency National Party Council meeting on Saturday.
We, as a central executive, we met with the standard bearer for Belize, the former standard bearer for Belize Rural South, and the current executive, because she has been the only person that was removed. She was not expelled. We do have the power, based on MPC resolutions, to expel a person that is in violation of the resolutions and the Constitution that forbids public attacks, public condemnation of the party. Just as you can't say anything bad about Channel 7, you can't say anything bad about CREM or 5. Well, no, I don't think that. I think there are certain guidelines that you can't attack your organization. If that is not in place, I don't know what organization can function. No, internally, I believe there are mechanisms by which you can present your criticisms, your dissatisfactions, but externally, that should never take place. And so the central executive met and we decided that it was totally outrageous and unacceptable, and we recommended to the National Party Council that the standard bearer be removed, because we found out that it was not the entire executive. The executive supplicated to us that they were not even aware that a public statement was being issued until it was actually issued. The secretary herself said that she wanted to cry, and she asked that it immediately be retracted, and it fell on deaf ears. So we ascertained that it was only the standard bearer and the chairman who resigned, her chairman resigned. And so we went to the MPC, which the MPC allows everyone the opportunity to be heard. So even though the central executive recommended it, and this, we're celebrating 50 years of the United Democratic Party. So these are the mechanisms that have been in place before me and will be in place after me.
Now, while the outcome of that meeting was as wet as removal, opposition leader Sharon Barrow has come under fire for a very heated exchange, which was shared between him and Tracy Panton. Audio of that exchange has been leaked and raised concern about the leader's behavior.
Has a personal relationship with someone that works for Sean Feinstein.
That would be my daughter. That would be my daughter.
Yes. And so
and that
you need
is
to
off
disclose.
limit.
You need
that
to disclose that conflict.
That
you
is
need
off
to
limit.
disclose that conflict.
That is off limit.
Because Sean Feinstein wants the PUP to win at all costs.
That is off limit. My daughter is off
we could have a standard bearer. Working for the party of Feinstein.
Off limit. She has a job to earn a living.
Why would you do this? And you guys need to know that. Why would Sean Feinstein spend big money to import and to manipulate all the standard bearer. And it will not stop. If you want to give up Belize Rural South, just say that as a party that we could write off Belize Rural South. Because we have seen it before. We've seen it with Marcus Scott. We've seen it with Curdell High. We've seen members of parties taking money
Barrow, however, says winning the election remains top priority for him as party leader.
I did not say anyone's name. Ms. Pantan, the member from Alberts, she's the one that took it there. But you need to understand what my issue is. I don't care about anyone's personal life unless there are accusations of criminal activity or it is in conflict with what is in the best interest of the UDP. So obviously someone is undermining our objective, our agenda to take that seat, to take the municipal elections in San Pedro and Kikauka. That is a fact. There is no political logic. There is no political rationale or reasoning to not want to protest. There is no logic to not want to issue a condemnation, a public condemnation of Andre Perez and his alleged criminal behavior. He's accused of sexual assault. There is no logic to not wanting to recall Andre Perez. So when my standard bearer, or the former standard bearer, is refusing to do anything about Andre Perez, but will instead condemn the party who put her in that position, something is wrong. So we have to consider all relationships. So it was important for the MPC to understand there is a personal relationship there for someone that works for Sean Feinstein. That's what I said. The member from Alberts could say whatever she wants to say. I will speak for myself. I did not call anyone's name. I did not refer to anyone's gender, anyone's daughter. There is a relationship there, a personal one, with someone that works for certain elements that we have cause to suspect may have been involved, may not have been involved. But we have a right to put that before our National Party Council for consideration, because this idea that we somehow did something wrong, or we somehow have miscalculated or have been ill-advised is preposterous. What happened in San Pedro cannot be countenanced. There is no way that we can have a standard bearer that refuses to protest against the area representative, refuses to comment publicly against the allegations, the criminal allegations against the area representative. I don't care who the area representative is sleeping with.
A new UDP area representative for Belize Rural South, according to Barrow, will be placed in due time. Now, while the focus of the UDP protest on Thursday seemed to be the removal of Minister Andre Perez, the opposition leader who was not present at that protest says the action was in fact carried out to demonstrate the shortcomings of the government, particularly as it relates to the current investment climate in our country.
Demonstration was against the PUP government at large and the failed policies of the Briceño administration, and a hostile investment climate is part of the reason we were protesting, because in Belize you have two of your biggest investors in Mr. Mike Feinstein and Mr. or Lord Michael Ashcroft, who are two of the biggest investors in this country, trying to get two of the biggest investments ever off the ground, and there have been absolutely no assistance from the government. In fact, the government has tried to undermine their investments in favor of a nepotistic, corrupt investment. And then you look at the foreign direct investment. You look at the multinationals such as Vulcan, such as BSI, who have, Vulcan didn't even get an opportunity to meet with the government, to even discuss what it is that they would like to do in Belize, and they were totally dismissed. They were, in fact, expelled from the country, in essence, and told, don't ever return. And then you look at BSI with the government minister passing an unconstitutional regulation to favor the union that he is a part of, which is a rank conflict of interest. So when you talk about investor-friendly, open for business government, the Briceño administration is certainly not fitting of any such accolade. And so that's what we were protesting, because that was one of the things we were protesting, not the people that were visiting. I know that the former president of Colombia has a questionable human rights records from the things that I have read, but that's not what we were protesting. What we were protesting, as I said, is this hostile investment climate which impacts employment. It impacts economic development, because if investors aren't coming here, putting their money into our economy, we can't hire people and we cannot stimulate the economy.
During today's press conference called by opposition leader Shine Baru along with other members of the UDP executive, they also spoke on the recent case involving Alejandro Borja, who was recently killed after giving testimony on dubious land scandals happening here in Belize. After his death, it was also exposed that he had received up to 10 gun licenses in a period of 17 months. Now, while the Commissioner of Police has come under fire for approving those gun licenses, the Minister of Police, Karim Musa, has gone on record to say that there is no limit to how many gun licenses the Commissioner of Police can issue to a single individual under the current system, and so the Compol is not guilty of any wrongdoing. The opposition, however, says there must be an investigation into this entire matter, starting from the land dealings.
What we need to realize is this is a land corruption scandal that involves members of government, from what I understand, on all different levels. And that is what we need to focus on as well. Because again, when the UDP was in power, they said it was a cesspool of corruption, hotbed of corruption, and the PUP promised to change that. Obviously, with the murder of Borja, that has uncovered a large-scale land corruption scandal. And so we really need to get to the bottom of that. Who is still sustaining this culture of corruption in the lands department, and the fact that it is deadly. I don't remember anyone being executed for any land corruption under the Barrow administration. I know that they have detained one of the biggest real estate companies, one of their proprietors. They detained him for questioning. I don't know what will come of that. But that is something very serious, that Mr. Borja gave testimony, and then 2 days before he was supposed to meet with the police, I guess to do a formal complaint or to give further testimony, he was executed. And this boils down to not just corruption in the lands department, but the citizen insecurity that our country is suffering.
At this time, the current system used to issue gun license is being revised, and once implemented, the duties of Compo Williams, where the issuance of gun licenses are concerned, will be handed over to a gun control board. Before this can be done, however, the UDP says a full internal audit must be done in that department.
How does a person get 10 gun licenses in 17 months? What's the justification for that? Was he running a security company? Was he having a private army? What is the justification for 10 gun licenses in that short period of time from 2021 to 2023? So you can't blame UDP for this one, right? Well, I don't know. What we would like to know, what made him feel after the 6th and the 7th and the 8th one, he said, why you deserve one more and one more and one more, when according to him it's hard to get even one. So we would like to know what it is about that. And they're talking about the passing of laws to make it, well, a three-person panel, and that doesn't change the fact as well. Nothing that they try, will shift the conversation from we want an audit of what was happening before and what is happening now. We want to know that there is one person came on TV and said that she was in direct contact with a senior police officer who was taking care of the vettings. What happened to that? Who is that police officer? Why hasn't that police officer been arrested? Why hasn't that taken its course through the justice system? So no amount of passing the law to change the system going forward will erase the stench, and this is one of the reasons why we want the audit.
The bond between Belize and the United Kingdom continues to strengthen as David Rutley, MP, the UK's Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office, FCDO Minister for the Americas and Caribbean, arrived in Belize on a courtesy visit on September 4, 2023. Prime Minister John Briceño warmly welcomed Rutley, emphasizing the discussions on mutual areas of interest and the potential for deepening their collaboration. The visit highlights the shared values and deep-rooted ties between the two nations, with Belize, due to its strategic location and bilateral interests with the UK, looking forward to enhancing cooperation on various fronts. On Rutley's agenda are meetings with Prime Minister Briceño and Eamon Courtney, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Trade and Immigration. The talks are geared towards exploring mutual interests and pinpointing avenues for future collaboration. Significantly, part of Minister Rutley's journey will involve a stopover at the British Army Training Support Unit Belize BATSUB. At this juncture, he will gain first-hand experience of the jungle training techniques. Additionally, he plans to hold discussions with members of civil society, focusing on pivotal issues such as gender rights, the welfare of women and girls, and climate concerns. Another highlight of the visit is an inspection of the coastal highway. This key infrastructure project aimed at climate resilience is realized with support from the UK and financed through the UK-Caribbean Infrastructure Fund. Expressing enthusiasm about the visit, Acting High Commissioner to Belize, Kate Reynolds, stated, "I am delighted to welcome Minister Rutley on his first visit to Belize. Engaging with our partners and collectively progressing towards our shared objectives on climate change, biodiversity protection, security, gender rights, and investment remains paramount." The visit by Minister Rutley is seen as a catalyst for bolstering the bilateral relations between Belize and the UK, paving the way for an enriched collaboration and understanding in the coming years. As mentioned, the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office's Minister for the Americas and the Caribbean, David Rutley, arrived in Belize yesterday. Today, he engaged in significant discussions with notable figures and bodies committed to addressing gender concerns in the nation. Among the prominent participants in this crucial dialogue were Special Envoy for the Development of Families and Children, Rosanna Briceño. Diane Keelock from YWCA Belize, CEO Tania Santos from the Ministry of Human Development, Families and Indigenous Peoples Affairs, Thea Garcia Ramirez from the National Women's Commission, Caroline Trench Sandiford, the President of the Senate, and Dorla Bowman from the Building People's Movement. The British High Commission emphasized the importance of these interactions, stating, "This exchange of knowledge and ideas is pivotal in determining collaborative measures to implement the UK's Women and Girls strategy. This strategy aligns with Belize's dedication to fostering inclusivity, empowering women, and eradicating gender-based violence." The British High Commission also expressed its gratitude to the partners for their valuable insights and contributions during the discussion. Opposition leader Shine Barrow today also called on the government to focus its efforts in trying to reduce the high price of fuel, which continues to cripple the pockets of Belizeans across the country.
I call on the Prime Minister to renegotiate with the entity that we consume our fuel from, because I'm not sure if it's Puma or who the entity is. They just bill us with an invoice. That invoice does not reflect the market up and down. It's just one flat rate, and I think that needs to change. If the Prime Minister was serious about lowering fuel costs, I do believe that he could do it, but
And that's the news. We invite you to join us for another newscast on Wednesday, September 6th here on Ctv3 and Fiesta FM 106.7. Remember that to read a text version of the news, you can visit our website at ctv3belizenews.com. You can also log on to our Facebook page for current stories at facebook.com/ctv3belize news or our YouTube channel at Ctv3 News BZ. Remember to wash your hands and remain safe from all of us here at Ctv3 News. Thank you for watching and listening. Good night.